This is an important question because there are way too many newsletters, articles, blogs, even YouTube channels, etc., out there, pieces and hunks of content that no one cares about. So I like the fact that this person's asking, how can I make this work? What's wrong? I don't know specifically what is wrong, but I do know a lot of mistakes that people make when they write newsletters and articles, and they hope and pray that everyone will pay attention to it. And by the way, hope and prayer are not business tactics or philosophies. What's wrong with the newsletter? 3,500 subscribers. That's 3,500 people whom felt like this LinkedIn member was going to give them something they wanted. Think about that for a minute. They felt that you may give them something that they wanted, but maybe they're not getting that. Now, by the way, there's also a whole nother component to this as well, and that is, how do you get people who are getting content that they want, how do you get them to participate in conversations? How do you get them to engage with you? So step number one, make sure you're, let me break this up into 3 pieces. Step number one, make sure that these subscribers are in fact your target audience, are in fact the people who should care about what you can possibly give them. More often than not, the way newsletter subscribers kicks off in the very beginning, these are your LinkedIn connections, and they had to click a button in email that says, yes, I want your stuff. So let's assume, for the sake of this discussion, these 3,500 people are your target audience. They do care about what you share. Then number two. Number two is you need to make sure you're giving them something they want, giving them something they need, giving them something they're looking for, giving them answers, giving them ideas that can help them. That is critical. 99% of what your newsletter is all about should be content, ideas, philosophy, stories. That's a big part that your target audience wants. And if you're not doing that, if you're nowhere near doing that every single time you write an article for your newsletter, then you're not going to get anything out of it because your target audience is not going to care. So number two, give them what they want. By the way, how do you give your target audience content that they want? Ask them, listen to them, look at what they're talking about, look at the questions that they're asking others. I get on Quora for one reason and one reason only, for the most part, to hear the questions that people are asking. That way I can answer questions that they ask. So you've got to figure out how to keep track of what they want. All right, number 3. Let's assume your audience is the right audience. Let's assume you're trying harder to give them what they want. How do you get people to engage? One tactic to get your followers, your viewers, or your newsletter to engage is to ask questions. Maybe tell a story and ask a question. What would you do? Tell a story and ask a question. What is your opinion? You've got to pull them in. You just can't put it out there and wait for them to comment. You got to encourage them to comment. Another thing you could do as well is maybe pay attention to some of your LinkedIn network and who are relevant to what you share, and maybe send that newsletter directly to them via LinkedIn message or via share, and tag them in it. Don't tag a bunch of people. Tag people whom you want to engage directly with. Let's say Bob, Susan, Jim, and Tom are highly relevant to your content. Well, you could take that newsletter, you could repost it, or you could comment on it, and you could tag Bob, Susan, Nancy, and Bob, whatever the names I use, tag them directly and go, I would love your opinion. Don't tag 20 people and ask for your opinion. And don't tag the same 3 people over and over again. Mix it up. And you will find that if you're transparent about this, doing this honestly because you want them to get value from it, that the people that you ask for their input, their thoughts, their ideas around what you wrote or around the story you shared, that you may be able to generate engagement. And when you can figure out a way to generate engagement, then LinkedIn is more likely to want to put your article and your newsletter back out there through the newsfeed. Because the more people who touch it and then engage in it and get into conversations on that piece of content, the more LinkedIn will put that content out there. Make sure it's the right target audience. Make sure you're giving them content that they want. And listen and ask questions so you can learn more about what to give them. And lastly, target specific people and try to pull them into a conversation around the content that you're offering them. These are my ideas. I hope they are useful to you and can move your newsletter to another level so that you get some really good engagement on your stories. I'm Teddy, a LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach. Have a good day.